Perfect. Okay, guys, you are able to see my screen. Am I correct? Can you all unmute your mic, please, for a few minutes? This topic is going to be on the intellectual property rights. I hope you have all unmuted the mic. I mean, open up the mic just for a few minutes.
Sure, sir, sure.
Thank you. Okay, I want you guys to name 3 of them. Can anyone identify this person? Say yes or no.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, no worries. She's a leading lawyer at the United Nations level. Okay, her name is Navanidam. Next person. Any identifier?
No, sir.
Okay, she's another leading lawyer in Malaysia. Okay, the third person, certainly you will be knowing her. Any idea? Anybody? She's married. Possibility. I mean, she's a well-established lawyer of Indian origin. Okay, so now unmute everybody. Mute your mic, please. Sorry, mute your mic. All of you, mute your mic, please. Okay, she's the leading lawyer in US, and then there is a very potential that she may be becoming the vice president of United States of America. Okay, all of them are of Indian origin. Why, in the sense, made up to the Indian origin aspect is you people need to get motivated. Of course, we are all well tired of the lockdown or shutdown period. So this way, it's very tricky. Okay, so bottom line is, just hang on, guys. Okay, done. So bottom line is, you guys keep yourself motivated and take it to different levels. And thanks a lot. First and foremost, I need to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity, and of course, definitely my friend Sibin Abraham for providing me this opportunity to speak to the budding lawyers. I'm a biotechnologist, and then our company is a biotech company. And I'm well inhabited to the entire Abraham family. I really know them for many decades. Thanks, Sabine, really giving me this opportunity to speak to the budding lawyers. Okay, going next, healthcare industry. Okay, healthcare industry it's like this. Whatever that's going to reach up to the mankind's wellness, it comes under the healthcare industry. So what we are now will be discussing about them are on manufacturers, pharmaceutical manufacturers, hospitals, equipment, instrument servicing companies, biotech companies. Biotech companies, most of them are startup companies, research institutes, and finally now IT international corporations like Google, Microsoft. They are coming up into intellectual proprietary property to provide the services to the pharma giants. Okay, basically in terms of the pharmaceutical manufacturers, there are 2 things in that. One, we call that as the generic. Generic, we call that as over-the-counter drugs. You don't need a prescription or nothing. You just go to the pharmacy, ask for a certain drug, and they will provide you the drug. Okay, that is one part of it. And in overseas countries, it's not like Asia where you go there and get the drug. It's not that easy to get a medicine over there. You need to go to a doctor, you need to get the prescription, and then get the drugs. There are 2 things. One is we call over-the-counter drug, Over-the-counter drug, to a larger extent, it's quite easy. But again, very less drugs are provided over the counter. Okay, then when we talk about the hospitals, yes, now you may ask what lawyers have to do with the hospitals. We call that as procedures, a surgical procedure. Even a surgical procedure as intellectual property. A doctor, if he does his surgery in a totally different way, which nobody has done till now, that he can go for a patent. We call that as process patent or procedure patent. It's not a product. That procedure of surgery, he will be getting millions of dollars if someone else does that way. Okay, so that way also the hospitals will be needing the lawyers. I am talking to I'm budding lawyers. Yes, I'm well aware of that. And then I need to tell what is the role of you budding lawyers in the healthcare industry. That's my major aim. And then yes, of course, then the servicing companies. Uh, there are two types of equipments or instruments. One, we call it as the diagnostic equipment or diagnostic equipment. Other one is the supportive. In terms of the diagnostics, oh, why it's echoing? I'm not very sure why suddenly it's echoing. It's clear now. Okay. In terms of the diagnostics, there are only two things now what can be done at home. One is insulin, that is the sugar level in the blood. Yes, everybody has, many of them at home now has a blood glucose testing equipment. It's a small device where it just with a drop of blood, put it onto a strip and it shows the blood sugar level. And then the second one, yes, of course, we call that for the pregnancy testing. So in terms of that, okay, it's at home. But once when you talk in terms of the supportive equipment, say like now ventilators, right? Okay, in US now, what they are now doing is with a single ventilator equipment, they are providing the ventilation, the air to say something like 6 or 8 patients. All these things due to COVID. The guy one who identified using a ventilator and provide oxygen or provide air to ventilate the lungs is now printing money. That's again patented. Have a single nozzle and then they bifurcate that into different tubes. Everything is sterile. But at the bedside level, they identified that that ventilator, a specific type of ventilator, can support. So in all those things where you guys are the lawyers, enter into that and protect the intellectual thinking, whereby it is getting translated into money. Okay, and then in terms of the biotechnology companies, yes, there's a lot of clinical trials going on now. You should be knowing in terms of the COVID, where a lot of clinical trials are going on. So those clinical trials takes a long time. During the course of the talk, I'll be mentioning about that to you. Okay, sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry for the outside announcement for the disturbance. So in terms of the biotechnology companies, they take up clinical trials, and those clinical trials are really very expensive. So it takes clinical trials takes around 6 to 8 years to complete. Clinical trials means, okay, let me tell you what a clinical trial is. Initially, if the drug need to come to market, we call lab side to bedside. That's happening in the lab and then translating that into a commercial venture and then taking up into the clinic, into the patient. It's a long journey there. So normally they do that testing on the animals, small animals, all those things, larger animals, and then take up to the human studies. So in that clinical studies, it's a phase by phase process. So what they do is it's a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Forget about all those things. You guys don't need to do that. For a period of time, they accumulate lot of data. that data, yes, need to be protected. And what you guys do is you guys protect the step-by-step data. Okay, research institutes, you all know that. I mean, IIT, MIT, Stanford, everywhere, they do a lot of data, I mean, research on new drug discovery. So for that, healthcare applications where they need to be protected. Okay, now in terms of the medical innovation, right? As I have mentioned there, protection. Basic protection is the key to that company's future success and product pipelines. Because one product may be failing, okay? That what they will be doing is they'll be accumulating the failed drug. It could not even reach up to the market for some reason or the other. Clinical trials would have failed. And then there are a lot of drugs that has come out that was withdrawn after clinical trials entered into commercial, given to patients, all those things. There are many examples for that. So, as we all know, the medical technology is changing radically. And now you should be asking why, how, all those things, why it's radically changing. Okay, so how you get this changes, or we call that as lawyers, I think you will be knowing about the white papers. White papers in the sense strategy for a company, pharmaceutical company. It has been clearly mentioned. See, I mean, you guys are the authoritative people to bring out the white papers. White papers means you will be mentioning about what will be the strategy for the company for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now. You people will be like, okay, it's not imaginative. It's completely on the data. And then you project what will be the company's prospects or certain time periods. How you will be doing it based on those intellectual data, how the, I mean, what basis the company has accumulated so far. And with in terms of the manpower, the scientists or the technology developers, those who are involved, right? So that way what you will be doing is you will be writing up those white papers, and then those white papers or the authoritative papers, it is submitted to the government, and then they ask them for the funding. Not necessarily for the funding, there each and every pharmaceutical, not each and every, most of the pharmaceutical industries are in the IPO here, we sorry, or in the trading, we call the stock market scripts, we call it. IPO is the one, as you know, when the company thinks, okay, let's go to the public to get the money, they release the IPO. Okay, so once when the strategy is done, white papers are released, yes, they do on the casting. So in this slide, you can really find it out. It's nearly a 145% increase in terms of the drug pricing. Something like casting, say like initially, the casting of the new drug to come to the market is said when something like 802 million. You can really see in this 802 802 million in 2003, but now it's whopping 2.6 billion. I'm sorry, I could not translate that into the Asian currency, Indian currency, or ringgit Malaysia. Okay, so in terms of the drug, a new drug to come to the market, it takes around $2.6 billion. This is a fact. I can show you I mean, this is actually the fact. Okay, and then initially it was around 8.2 million. So now you think in terms of overall increase, it's around 185% increase. That's why the cost is skyrocketing. Okay, now you may think, okay, this pharmaceutical I mean, these pharmaceutical companies are printing money like anything. Okay, what exactly the lawyer's salary? You just have a look into that. I'm talking about the qualified lawyers. Of course, you guys at one point of time, you're going to be entering into the corporate world. Not necessarily all of them will be entering into the corporate world. Some of them, yes, will be into the corporate world. So there you can really find it out what will be your salary based on your inputs to the company. Okay, so that time, yes, definitely you will be having an exponential increase of your salary. And then very possibility that you will be poached means you know what is poaching from one pharmaceutical industry to another. Yes, and again there is a lot of things there also. When you shift from one pharmaceutical industry to another, there is a lot of clause there where 6 months you cannot work on the same type of drug. All those things are there. So now you know very well what the lawyers do that. This is what Wall Street Journal has said. It's basically in 2014. You can see that it's in 2014. Cost is 2.6 billion. But nobody believes that. But actually, this is the fact. It's an underlying fact for a drug, a single drug, to come to the market. And then you may think how long it's going to take. Yes, now you see COVID. Everybody wants a vaccine immediately. They say in a week time, in a month's time. Now already it's around 4 months time. We are nowhere near to a vaccine. And Moderna, yes, that's a company that's working on. They are in the phase 3 of the clinical trials to come up for the COVID-19 pandemic virus. I mean, for the pandemic, COVID-19 virus. So in virus infection, a vaccine normally will take around 18 months to 2 years time, maybe 12 times 2, 24 months. So maybe it may take 2 years time. But what I'm talking all those things, this timeline is a global pandemic. So they can go ahead with a fast track. But normally for the normal drug to come to market, you can really see here, it takes at least 10 years time. So this 10 years time, the data that's accumulated by the scientists, those who are doing experiments, right? So those data need to be protected. And what they do is, as they keep accumulating the data, they go back to their legal cell, where you guys lawyers will be there, and you will be knowing what the company's competitors are working upon, or when to deliver these drugs, how long, whether it is, you will be giving a strategy. And not only the strategy, you will be declaring how much money further to put into this research. Into this research means into this drug, because you will be continuously tracking what the competitor is also working upon. How long? Yes, how long for them to enter into the market. So based on different inputs from different sources, you'll say, okay, you will suggest to the company whether to proceed further or not to proceed, or in between you can sell that technology to some other company. Of course, that is also quite possible, instead of putting too much amount of money onto that. So these things are all well done, very well by you guys. Okay, it's a quite a known fact. You keep guessing who are all the guys best in this business. I don't want to mention that. Who are all best in the sense, attorneys or lawyers, what type of lawyers or what type of attorneys of which people so good, so best in this business. Really, they are so good in that. You know very well whom I'm talking about. Shakespeare was said about that long time back. Okay, so those things you keep guessing, and you will be knowing what it is, who they are. That's the country where it has come up with nearly 80 or 90 Nobel laureates. It's a small country, you know whom I'm talking about. Okay, so now just to put it across, just this one, because what I don't want to go into two technicalities of these things, because first thing is you're all budding lawyers. Okay, second, I don't want to put too much of the technical details of biotechnology or pharmaceutical industry, whereby it's many webinars you guys are going into it, and then it may be a boredom for you people, but just want to have an introduction to that. Just a very basics. I have given the links also to that white paper, all those things where you can have it, guy from the, I mean, you can get a copy of that through our moderator, Mr. Sibin Abraham. Okay. So now if you see that there are two things into this. One is the patent, other one is the exclusive data that need to be protected. So you can see two people are getting involved, two agencies are getting involved. Okay, guys, don't mistake me. I'm not able to relate all these things to the scenario in Asia. Basically, I'm talking about it from the US perspective. Okay, not much of a difference nowadays because of the, because of the international proprietaries. They are all doing very well, so that they are protecting the intellectual proprietary of the entire people. Those are working on this. So in US, there are two ways to have a patent as well as the exclusive data to be protected. One, the patent office, the US Patent Office, and then second one is the FDA. We call it Food and Drug Administration. Unless otherwise, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, approves, then only that drug, that chemical, because still now it is not drug, only when the Food and Drug Administration approves to go to the commercial level, that becomes a drug. Till that time, it's only a chemical. Okay, so the exclusive data here, as I'm referring to the period, right? So it need to be prohibited by no other, by not by any other people to be used upon. If that is getting opened up by some reason or the other, then it's a disaster, catastrophe for the company. That means they are really having their own competitors to have a strike at them. So that's where you guys need to, you guys are pitched in as attorneys or the lawyers, and then you say, because you cannot keep all the data confidential. Right from the beginning, you are getting the funding from different agencies. So they need to be provided the data. Then only they will, as a long back, as a slide before, as I told you, it takes 10 years time. So you need to be regularly, the company need to regularly submit the data to the funding agencies and tell them that they are progressing, and they are progressing very well, right? And they cannot reveal too much of the data also, because when you reveal too much of data, it can go to the wrong hands, and then you end up, the company ends as a failure for this type of product or for this product. And then who knows, if anything can happen, the competitor can buy over the entire company. So that way, what you do guys do is you decide upon quantum of data, what data to be revealed to the funding agencies, to the funders, even to the basic people, where that's where the entire white paper lies upon. Okay, so you decide upon what to be revealed and what not to be revealed, how much to reveal, basically. So when you know that how much to reveal, you will know how much money you will be getting back, because company cannot keep on funding, keep on pumping money. They will be getting from different, there are there are, of course, lenders are also there. They put money into the company, and of course through the stock exchange, they trade the script, we call it, the company, and then they get that money. Once, I think you should be knowing about the Moderna, MODRNA. Okay, that's a company that's working, that's a prospective company that's working on the vaccine for COVID-19. They are doing very, amazing. Phase 1 trial is successful, phase 2 trial is successful. So they are now jumped into the phase 3. There are 4 phases of the clinical trials for vaccine or for even any drugs for that. Okay, so you guys reveal through the white paper what amount of success or what amount of information to be sent across to the general public, right from the general public to the government agencies. Based on that only, the fund cash flow is quite possible, because you will know that Moderna, when it said phase 2 is successful, they had a nearly, I think, 140% increase in their share, increase of their script, increase of their share. I have something like, I think, from $40 to $80 or something. I'm not very sure exact that, but as a matter of fact, it's a nearly 145% jump. So those who have bought the script at that a lower value, they would have got a return of 145%. It's a huge money. It's a huge money. So you guys tell what exactly need to be revealed upon. Okay, as I have categorically mentioned, this slide is very self-explanatory. I'm saying that you guys are the, say, you provide the effective intellectual property strategy whereby you maximize the investment returns. We call it return of investment. As if I'm putting money onto a company or for a product, definitely I'll ask for ROI and then return of investment. So once when the money has been put in as investors, you guys as the attorneys or the lawyers, you come up with a lot of calculation based on the inputs from the R&D, from the CEO, CFO, all of them, and then you guys come up with a and tell the shareholder, when the shareholders or the any of the stakeholders who are putting money onto that, saying that okay, they will be getting a return of investment of 1 year, 6 months, 8 years, something like that. So you guys not only say like maintaining a strong protection, but also taking up the leverage for the funding aspects also. That's all, guys. I think it's our Zoom is only for 40 minutes, 5 or 7 minutes for the questions. Thank you very much. Now you can open up your mic, please. Subin, I'm done with them talk.
Hello, sir. Sir?
I'm done with the talk. We have just 5 minutes left.
Okay, sir.
I am done with the talk. You can, I mean, anybody can ask a question.
Guys,
We
if,
started by 3, so we need to end up by 3:40.
guys, if anyone want to raise up your questions, you can ask. Last 5 minutes.